All right, Bahamas, let's go to work. So it's a Sunday morning and we still in February. And here's the thing. Valentine's Day over, but guess what? Relationships are here to stay. So we still discussing relationships. And why? Because the simple fact of the matter is, outside of Valentine's Day, so we done with Valentine's Day. Outside of Valentine's Day, the simple fact of the matter is, if you want to change your life, the only thing you really have to do is change your relationships. I just thought about that. I said, you know what? We're going to talk about relationships for the rest of the month. To change your life, you change your relationships. I promise you. That's all you have to do to change your life. Think about it. And we're going deep with this. So I'm not only talking about a relationship with a person. We're going deep. Think of it like a noun. Remember when you were in high school and you had to learn what a noun is? A noun is a person, a place, a thing, or idea. So any of these things you could have a relationship with. So we're doing a deep dive into relationships today because we're trying to change our life. So think of it like this. You know what? Think of it like this. I have a good example. What is an idea? A New Year's resolution. So now you have a new relationship with this idea. It's your New Year's resolution. In fact, it may be an old relationship because it may be the same resolution year over year over year. But let's say you have a new idea and you have a relationship with your New Year's resolution. And what is the thing? The thing is fried chicken. You know what? I'm going to stop seeing fried chicken. Like, I don't want to see it no more. I don't want to be near it. I'm done with it. And that is your New Year's resolution. And the thing that you're in a relationship with is fried chicken. And we're going to stop seeing each other. And what is the place? I'm going to visit the gym. I need to see more of the gym. I only saw the gym once last year and I feel like it's a rocky relationship. I need to build that relationship with the gym. So that's the place. And then what is the person? The person is you. I want to feel better about myself. You know what? I feel like my relationship with myself ain't where it should be. I don't quite like the way I look right now. I feel some type of way. But guess what the problem is, Bahamas? You in love with fried chicken and you hate the gym. So now how are you going to actually execute on this idea? So I'm going deep for this one. I mean, this is a simple example. So you love fried chicken and you hate the gym. So how are you going to stop seeing fried chicken? You see, the problem is, right? This is the problem is. Fried chicken make you feel good. I mean, that Halle Berry Monsters, but whoever watched Halle Berry Monsters, but see this, that's an old movie. But if you watch it, remember when Halle Berry said, I just want to feel good? See, if you know about that, you know what I'm talking about. But anyway, you just want to feel good. So that's the way fried chicken make you feel. But the gym been hurting you all your life. You go to the gym and when you leave the gym, it's like you're in an abusive relationship. You don't never want to go back to the gym. And that's the problem. So what you're going to see in life is that all these relationships conflict with each other. My ma don't like my husband don't like my father-in-law. So you have all these relationships and everything is a mess. Let's go to work. I'm cooking today. So I'm cooking early today. So we talking about relationships today. We got to figure this one out. And that's what we're doing today. So let's say a prayer. Then I go warm you up and I got a story for you. I know you guys like stories. So I got a story for you too. So we're doing a deep dive into relationships. So God, we pray that you may bless us, guide us, protect us. And help us to always remember that the most important relationship in this world is our relationship with Christ. In Jesus Christ's name we pray. Amen. All right, let's go to work. So before I get to the story, before we do a deep dive into relationships, in fact, this will be my best episode. This is the best episode. The most important episode of the year. Because we're trying to change our life and we're starting early. All right. So listen to this, and I got 3 verses for you, and this is going to warm you up, and after I warm you up, then we're going to go into the story. And listen to these 3 verses. And the first one is Genesis chapter 8, verse 1. But God remembered Noah. See, I'm cooking today. I'm going deep today. But God, remember, I'm going to tell you about the most important relationship in your life. And if you go throughout the Bible, that's all you see is but God. And what's the second verse? 1 Samuel chapter 23 verse 14. But God did not give David into his hands. See, we're going deep with this one. But for God, Muhammad, that's all you got in this world. We talk about relationships, but I gotta start off with the most important one. Before I talk about all the rest, the person, the place, the thing, or the idea, I gotta start with the one and only God. That's one for one. And Acts chapter 3 verse 15, you killed the author of life, but God raised him from the dead. See, I'm going deep with this one. But God. So what am I trying to tell you here? What I'm trying to tell you here is this. I don't care what you're going through in life. As long as you put, but God, at the end of that sentence, you good. The doctor said you have cancer, but God. Now, I don't know how you need to finish that sentence. See, it's up to you. But God. See, that's the most important thing. Your child on drugs, but God. And however you finish the sentence determines your relationship with God. See, I'm looking today. We're going to work today. Because that's all you got in this world. I ain't got nowhere to live. I can't feed my children. But God. And that's all you need in this world. And see, now I got to bring that home. I got to prove that to you. So we're going to work now. So let me tell you what the story is. So we're in Exodus. And we're in Exodus chapter 16. And I'm cooking today. It's the most important episode of the whole year. I promise you. If you change your relationships, you change your life. For better or for worse. Just change your relationships. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to read you the story first. And then we're going to go do a deep dive into all the different types of relationships. Like I said, person, place, thing, idea. And then of course, God. The most important relationship of all. So listen to this story, and then we can break it down and chop it up. I still got some time. All right, so I'm in Exodus chapter 16. We're starting at verse 1 to 7. And listen to this story. And all the congregation of the children of Israel journeyed from the wilderness of Sin. And after their journeys, according to the commandment of the Lord, they pitched at Rephidim. And there was no water for the people to drink. So already you see conflict. Whenever you have conflict, that will always test your relationship. So there was no water for the people to drink. And verse 2. And the people did chide with Moses and said, give us water that we may drink. And Moses said unto them, why chide ye with me? Wherefore do you tempt the Lord thy God? So what does chide mean? Chide mean you arguing, or you rebuking, or you admonishing someone. You going against them. So here it is. The people are arguing with Moses. And he's like, why are you arguing with me? And verse 3. And the people thirsted there for water, and the people murmured against Moses, and they said, wherefore that thou hast brought us up out of Egypt to kill us, and to kill our children, and to kill our cattle with thirst. So they asked him, Moses said, you know what? You brought us out of slavery. You brought us out of Egypt. But for what? To kill us in the wilderness? And Moses cried unto the Lord, saying, what shall I do unto this people? They are ready to stone me. So Moses is saying, these people are ready to kill me. God, what are we going to do with these people? And the Lord said to Moses, go on before the people and take with thee the elders of Israel and thy rod, wherewith thou smotest the river, take in thy hand and go. And behold, I will stand before thee upon the rock of Horeb. And thou shalt smite the rock, and there shall come water out of it, that the people may drink. And Moses did so in the sight of the elders. And he called the name of the place Massah and Meribah, because of the chiding of the children of Israel, and because they tempted the Lord, saying, is the Lord among us or not? That's deep. Let's go to work. So we're talking about relationships, and we're doing a deep dive into relationships, and we're going to use this story to do it. And at the end of this story, I have to prove to you that the most important relationship in your entire life is your relationship with God. I need you to remember that. Now follow me, because I can bring this one full circle. And I ain't got much time. I got about 20 minutes left. Whenever you all see me looking up, like, sometimes you may see my eyes look up. I'm looking at the clock. So don't think I'm drifted away. I know some of you will be like, hey, it's early this morning. You keep on looking up. You keep on doing that. Nah, I'm looking at the clock to make sure I'm still on time. You know, ain't nothing's free with ZNS, so I gotta stay on time. I got 30 minutes to do this. So whenever I look up, I'm just looking at the clock. So I got about 19 minutes now. So I got 19 minutes to bring the story home. We're talking about relationships. And if you're just joining us, the reason why we talk about relationships is because if you want to change your life, you just simply change your relationships, whether it's with food, whether it's with drugs, whether it's with people, person, place, thing, idea. It's a noun. And we're going to go through these relationships because I got to prove to you that the most important relationship in your life is your relationship with God. You just got to know how to use it, but for God. I don't care what it is, but God. You need to put that in that sentence. Whenever you say that prayer, whenever you're talking to people, whenever you're talking to yourself, I don't have a job, but God. All right, let's go to work. And we're in verse 1. Let me chop this one up for you. And all of the congregation of the children of Israel journeyed from the wilderness of Sin. And after their journeys, according to the commandment of the Lord, they pitched at Rephidim. And there was no water for the people to drink. So my question to you is, why are they in the wilderness? And this is the most important question I'm going to ask you. Look at what it said. It said they are in the wilderness of Sin. So why are they in the wilderness? So let me explain this one to you. It's the most important thing. So before we do a deep dive into relationships, I need you to understand this. Whenever your relationship changes, you're going to be in the wilderness. Let me explain. They were in slavery. They had a relationship with Pharaoh. They had a relationship with their oppressor. But the minute that relationship changed and they left Egypt and they left that oppressor, they found themselves in the wilderness. Come on, I'm cooking today. So if you leave your husband, he was abusive, then you just may find yourself homeless. See, I'm going to work. If you leave drug dealing, and you say, you know, I'm done. I ain't doing this no more. I'm changing my life. I ain't selling dope no more. Then you just may find yourself jobless. And that's how this thing works. The minute you change your relationship, you find yourself in the wilderness. Why? Because you're leaving something familiar. And the wilderness is unfamiliar. But let's go deeper into this one. Watch this. But the problem in life is you think that the wilderness is a bad thing. Remember, the Holy Spirit led Jesus into the wilderness. I'm cooking today, Bahamas. So the problem is, you come out of slavery, you go into the wilderness, and because you don't have no water, so because you're homeless and you don't have no job, you think it's a bad thing. But the Holy Spirit, but God led Jesus into the wilderness to make him stronger. Because that's the time for fasting and praying. So what is the key to the wilderness? The key to the wilderness is this. You know it's going to be a wilderness the minute you change your perspective on life. The minute you say, I'm going to stop being dependent on people. The minute you say, I'm getting out of this abusive relationship. The minute you say, I'm changing my life. I ain't dealing with this no more. You're going to go into the wilderness. But the wilderness is there to strengthen you. The key to the wilderness is this. Either you're going to be in the wilderness for 40 days like Jesus, or for 40 years like the Israelites. And that's the key to this. See, Jesus didn't have food and water for 40 days because he was fasting and praying. So he knew he was going through the struggle and he was coming out of this one stronger. The Israelites went into the wilderness and they had food and water because they weren't fasting and they weren't praying. So they spent 40 years wandering around the desert till they all died there. So either you could live or you could die. So that's what you got to decide. When you change your life. Because see, I can't tell you about changing your life until I tell you what's going to happen. So what's going to happen is you're going to change your life. You're going to find yourself in the wilderness. And what you're going to have to say to yourself is, how long am I going to stay here? Either I'm coming out of this one stronger and I'm staying there for a minute. That's 40 days. And I'm praying and I'm fasting. So I don't care what I don't have. Or I'm going to be like the Israelites. And I'm going to mourn. I'm going to groan. I'm going to complain. And I'm going to be here for 40 years, just wondering, let's go to work. Now we can talk about relationship because you know what's going to happen. So don't say I didn't tell you. So when you change that relationship, you know problems are going to come. You know you're going to be in the wilderness, but I told you it would happen. And that's when it's time to fast and pray because you're coming out of that one strong because God led Jesus into the wilderness. So God led you there. You had to go there. But the problem is how long you're going to stay there. Now let's go to work. We're in chapter 3, verse 2. Now I can start cooking. And listen to this. And the people did chide with Moses and said, give us water that we may drink. And Moses said unto them, why do you argue with me? Or why do you chide with me? Wherefore do you tempt the Lord thy God? So what is the problem here? What relationship are we talking about? The most important part here is, look at what Moses said. Why are you arguing with me? So here we're looking at a relationship with a person. So what Moses did was this. So Moses went to the Israelites. They were in slavery. Moses risked his life. He went to Pharaoh. It was 10 plagues. He got them out of Egypt. And now they're arguing with Moses because Moses couldn't give them water. And Moses is saying, why are you arguing with me? So here we have a relationship with a person. But what's the key to this? The key to this isn't looking at the Israelites and saying, you know what? Y'all being ungrateful. Because when you're in a relationship with a person, you have to look at the other person's point of view. So at this point, you have to say to yourself, why are they arguing with Moses? And it was simple. Because Moses lived to be 120 years old. But guess what? For the first 40 years of Moses' life, he lived in the king's palace. He was second to the son of a king. So while they were slaves, Moses was in the palace. He wasn't even a house slave. He was second to be the Pharaoh. So what are they saying? You weren't there. And then for the next 40 years of Moses' life, he was an outlaw, but he was free. When they were in slavery, Moses was free. He was a shepherd. He was out there helping children. He was a free man. And they were slaves. So now Moses was 80 at this point. So 40 years living in the palace. 40 years out there as a free man when he was on the run. And now for the last 40 years of his life, he wanted to be leader. And the people didn't have a relationship. Why? Because for you to have a relationship with someone, you got to build his building blocks. It's built over years. And what they were saying to Moses is, you were never there. When we were in slavery, you were in the house. You were kept. You were a kept pet. And now you want to come in and tell us that you are our leader? Come on, let me cook for you. Let's go to work. So you have a child out there. Let's go deeper with this one. You have a child out there. And you know what you're going to say? I paid your school fee. The money was on the account. But then the child is saying, but you were never there. When I needed you, you weren't there. Yeah, I know the money was there. I know you paid my school fees. I know you gave my mommy money for me. But you weren't there. It's like going deeper with this one. It's like the wife, she look at her husband. Yeah, you were a good provider, but you weren't there. So what the Israelites are saying to Moses is, you claiming you were a leader, but you weren't there. That's why we have a problem with you. So you're looking at both ends of the spectrum, and that's what I need you to do. The first part of this, remember, person, place, thing, idea. When you look at your relationships with people, look from their point of view. And what you have to say to yourself is, was I there? Was I there for this person? Because see, everyone is there for a season. But guess what? When it comes to children, they got to be there forever. A friend can be there for a season, but the season with a child is forever. The season with your wife is forever. With parents, forever. So here it is. When you look at your relationships with people, you have to say to yourself, was I there when I needed to be there? And let's continue on. In verse 3, and the people thirsted there for water. And the people murmured against Moses. And they said, what have you brought us out of Egypt for? To kill us and to kill our children and to kill our cattle with thirst. So now this one go deep. This one is a relationship with a place. So here it is. The people are looking back at Egypt. And guess what? They're saying, why have you brought us here? You should have left us in Egypt as slaves. See, that's deep. Let me read it for you again. Listen to it. And they said, why have you brought us up out of Egypt to kill us and to kill our children? Think about that. Think about how many people have these toxic relationships with places. Let's talk about Island Luck for a minute. Yeah, you know what? Let me bring this one home. Island Luck. You go to Island Luck. You lose all your money. You lose your children's school fee. But guess what? You going back there tomorrow and you seeing Island Luck every day. And you think about, in fact, you dream about Island Luck. You dream about them numbers. That's an abusive relationship. But let your friend not pay you back your money. You ready to cut him off. See, watch this. If your friend don't pay you your money, oh, you cut him off. You can talk with him bad. But if Island Luck don't pay you your money, take your children's school fee and take your house, you ain't talking with him bad. You know what you're saying? Boy, I see you tomorrow. Come on, child, please. I cook in the day. I'm bringing this one home. So these people were in love with slavery. They were thinking back to the time when they were in Egypt. That one go deep. So we're talking about toxic relationships, and they were in love with a place. And why? Why were they in love with Egypt? Because that's all they knew. They were enslaved for 400 years. That's all they knew. You've been gambling for 30, 40, 50 years. That's all you know. And that's the problem. And those are the toughest relationships to get rid of. And let's continue on. And you know what? Before we even get off of this, we can go even deeper with this one. Because a place doesn't even have to be a physical place. Let's look at this one. Look at what it says. I just realized it says, you want to take us out of Egypt to kill us and our children with thirst. But what were they doing in Egypt? Didn't Pharaoh kill all of their children? All boys, 2 years old or under. He killed them all. So this one go deep. So Pharaoh was killing your children. Pharaoh was killing your cattle. But yet you want to go back to Pharaoh. Why? Because it's a place. It's a dark place in your head, and that's all you knew. So when they were looking at Moses, they were thinking of Pharaoh, and it's like, but it's all we know. So you want to kill us too. So they were in a dark place mentally, not only physically. So Egypt was a dark place they wanted to go back to. And death and victimization was a dark place that they were still in. Come on, I'm cooking today. We got to go deeper down one. See, I ain't got much time though. Let me move on. And then verse 4. And Moses cried unto the Lord, saying, what shall I do with these people? They be almost ready to stone me. So here it is. Now the people want to kill them. So what is this a relationship with? This is a relationship with an idea. The fact that these people were willing to murder Moses. Why? Why were they willing to murder Moses? Because see, it's a cycle. We could go deep with this one. Pharaoh killed all of the little boys, all the little Hebrew boys, all the little Hebrew children. Anyway, if you were a boy, he was killing you. So the people or the Hebrews, they were familiar with this idea of death or murder. And then you have Moses, who was a Hebrew boy who grew up and killed the Egyptians. And he ultimately ended up killing Pharaoh. And then on the flip side, now the Hebrews want to kill Moses. So it's one vicious cycle. Pharaoh killed the children. The child grew up to kill Pharaoh. And now the people want to kill Moses. Come on, that's deep. So what am I trying to show you here? What I'm trying to show you here is when you look at these cycles and you look at these ideas that you're familiar with, you look back at your experience. What have you been seeing all your life? You've been seeing death all your life, then that's all you know. And that's one of the hardest things to cut off. So listen to what it says. And then Moses said, the people are ready to stone me. And why they said this? Because that's how we grew up. So when you look at your life, you have to look at relationships or these ideas or these relationships with the ideas in your head and say, you know what? I might open to adultery because that's all I knew. My father did it. That's all I've seen. I might open to homosexuality because that's all I've been around. And they're telling me it's all right. I watch Netflix. They're saying it's okay. What are you opening yourself up to? When you look at the Israelites, I might open to murder. They were willing to kill Moses. Why? Because that's all they knew. 400 years of that. It's a cycle. And then let's continue. In verse 5, because we're exploring relationships. And the Lord said unto Moses, go before the people and take the elders of Israel and thy rod, wherewith thou smotest the river, take in thy hand and go. Now this one deep. Let's look at the sequence of events here. So here it is. Look at what Moses said. Moses said, these people want to kill me. They're ready to stone me. What shall I do with these people? And listen to what God said. God said, get the rod. Come on, I'm cooking today. So what are we talking about now? We talk about a relationship with a thing. And what is that thing? The thing is the rod. You know what? Let me take this to the streets. Let me talk to the hitters out there. To all the gunmen, to all the former criminals. I'm calling you former. That's your past life. Who had a relationship with their gun. What do you call a gun? You call it the rod. That's the strap. That's the hammer. That's the heat. Whatever you want to call it. That's the punishment. No, you got all kind of names for that. That's the ratchet. So here it is. Listen to this. Listen to the sequence of events. So here it is. Moses is complaining. Moses is saying to God, they want to kill me. And God says, go and get the rod. Simple as that. I'm cooking today. And listen to what else God says. The same rod that you smote the river with. So see, I'm talking to the streets. So I'm not talking, there's a lot of people out there and they have a bad relationship with clothes, a bad relationship with cars, and all the other stuff. It's toxic. Material things. But I want to talk to the streets now. The people who only know how to go for the rod have a bad relationship with violence. So here it is. God says, go get the rod. Moses says, what am I going to do with these people? They want to kill me. And then God says, go get the ratchet. It's as simple as that. I can't even make it up. Come on, I'm cooking today. So God says, go and get the rod. The same rod that you smote the river with. So when did Moses smote the river? So remember the river Nile? So Moses took the rod and turned the entire river into blood. That was one of the plagues. So God is saying, go get the same rod that you smote the river with. And what else did God say? This one go deep. He said, and get the elders of Israel. That sounds like a mafia hit. Come on. All right. When you watch the mafia movies, what do you see? You have the Godfather and he lined up all the leaders, all the elders. And he said, now which one of y'all don't want me as leader? And then you know what happened next. So here it is. You have God telling Moses, he said, Moses, go get the rod. And what I need you to do is go get all the leaders, all the people who don't want to see you as leader. Get all of them. Why? Because Moses came to God and said, they want to kill me. So what are we going to do with these people? See, this one go deep. So what am I trying to tell you here? What I'm trying to tell you here is there's a thing. It's a thing, and that thing is the rod that you have a bad relationship with. But what you need to understand is this. When you talk to David, David never prayed for chariots. David never prayed for horses. He never prayed for swords. He prayed for God to help him. And that's what we see from Moses. Your weapon is prayer, not the rod. You go to God in prayer. So Moses didn't say, all right, God, it's time to get the rod. No, he went to God and prayed. And God told him to get the rod. So let's see how this one ends. And behold, and listen what God says. I will stand before thee on the rock of Horeb, and thou shalt smite the rock, and there shall water come out of it, that the people may drink. And Moses did so in the sight of the elders. So what is this relationship here? This is your relationship with Christ. Listen to what happened. He took the rod and he smite the rock in front of the elders, and water came out. It's only one other place that happened. This is 23rd Psalm. What happened in the 23rd Psalm? He prepareth the table before me in the presence of my enemies. So in the presence of the elders, he prepared the table with water. Now you all drink. Come on, I'm cooking today. What else did the 23rd Psalm say? My rod and my staff shall comfort me. And what did God say? Go get the rod. And what else did the 23rd Psalm say? The still waters. I will lead you by the still waters. So here it is. God protected him with his rod and his staff. He led him by the still waters. And above all, he prepared the table before him in the presence of his enemies. I'm cooking. And that's your relationship with God. So Tara's going to bring this one full circle. So we talk about all the different relationships. Person, place, thing, or idea. But the most important one as we end this, which is the relationship with God. But I ain't finished cooking yet. Come on, I'm still cooking. And let's go to work. And verse 7. And he called the name of the place Massah and Meribah, because of the chiding of the children of Israel, and because they tempted the Lord, saying, is the Lord among us or not? We can end with that one. So why? Why did God allow the people to be thirsty? Because I got to bring this one full circle for you so we can understand the most important relationship in life. Look at what the people said. They said, tempted the Lord, saying, is the Lord among us or not? So why did God allow the people to be thirsty? Because of the question they asked. They said, is the Lord among us or not? And what did God say? God said, if you knew who you were talking to, you wouldn't ask for water. You would ask for the living water so that you never thirst again. I'm cooking today. So the people are saying, is the Lord among us? So God allowed them to be thirsty. Why? Because remember what he said to the woman at the well. He said, if you knew who you were talking to, you wouldn't ask for a little bit of water to quench your thirst. You would ask for the living water so that you never thirst again. Why? Let me cook for you. Because if I give you a cup of water in the wilderness, you can't survive on that. It's impossible to survive on a cup of water in the wilderness. Now let me bring this one home. The wilderness is life. If you have a job, you think that's going to save you in this life. It's impossible for a job to save you, because when your child on drugs, how that job going to help you? When your husband cheating on you, how money in the bank going to help you? See, money in the bank is like a cup of water in the wilderness. A job is like a cup of water in the wilderness. How that going to save you? But for God. See, I told you I was going to bring it back. But for God, that's the only thing that can save you in this life. So what God was telling them is, guess what? A cup of water can't save you in the wilderness. Only the ever-living, the everlasting water. That's the water of life. That's the spring out of you. That's Jesus. Only Jesus can save you. And so what did God say? But for God. In Jesus Christ's name we pray. Amen.